Welcome, everyone. It's been a year since Barack Obama was inaugurated as the first African-American president of this country. His election was lauded as a turning point in race relations. But there's also been a racist backlash to his victory at the polls. Right-wing militias are on the rise in several states across the country, and high rates of unemployment have further stoked anger against racial minorities and recent immigrants. There's been a surge in hate crimes, political murders, and assassination threats since Obama's election. At least 9 high-profile racially motivated murders have taken place this past year.
Well, independent filmmakers Rowley and Jacquie Soohen went inside the white nationalist movement to investigate the backlash. This is an excerpt of their short documentary, White Power USA, that aired in full on Al Jazeera English. The full piece is available on the Al Jazeera website and on the Big Noise Films website. It includes some disturbing language.
In this shed in the middle of the Arizona desert, the White Knights of America are hosting a festival of white supremacist skinhead culture. Here and across the country, white power groups say they are energized and growing. For them, Obama's election and the economic meltdown are wake-up calls for white America and catalysts for the coming race war. They say white pride is their only defense in an insecure and changing world.
America is in crisis. I'm petrified whether I'm working the next day or not, and this is all we got. This is the last thing we got to stand on, man.
Charles is the lead singer for Stormtroop 16, one of the most popular bands on the Aryan skinhead circuit. He says they give voice to a silent majority that is afraid to say what it really feels about race.
This country and this entire world is full of closet racists who lack the courage to even say they're even proud to be white, because they're sheep and they're being led to the slaughter, man.
Like many in the white nationalist movement, he talks in apocalyptic terms about the future of the white race.
And we have such a huge following of people that are so incensed about this, because I believe that they think that this is the end's coming, man. We're born to hate.
Skinheads are one of the most aggressively violent nodes in a constellation of groups that make up the white nationalist movement. There are an estimated 30,000 hardcore white nationalists and 250,000 active sympathizers in America today, according to watchdog groups. But white supremacist influence may be far greater than these numbers suggest.
They're preparing for battles of the future. And unless we prepare for those battles in the future, we're going to get blindsided.
Leonard Zeskin has tracked white nationalism for decades and recently published a comprehensive history of the movement based on his life's work. He warns that though white supremacist groups may appear to be marginal, they exploit and inflame racial divisions that run through all of American culture, and they are moving from the margins to the mainstream.
Now it's a broader political problem than it was, say, 30 years ago. And so it's a cause for greater concern. There's a sense of white dispossession among a certain strata of the white population. They feel like this used to be their country, they ran it, and now they don't, and they want their country back.
Zeskin maps a network of right-wing organizations that is adapting in order to expand its foothold in mainstream American politics. In recent years, hundreds of new groups and websites have sprung up across the country, looking for issues that can make their racial politics relevant to more white Americans.
Particularly with the anti-immigrant movement, the white nationalists have managed to find a vehicle into the creation of public policy.
White nationalists see the anti-immigrant movement as a bridge into mainstream politics, and ground zero for that movement is here, in the deserts and mountains of Arizona. 6 years ago, right-wing militias began organizing here along the Mexican border. They quickly grew from a few vigilantes hunting for immigrants into a national phenomenon. With the recession, illegal immigration from Mexico has dropped off 60% in the last year, to its lowest level in a decade, but it remains a hot-button issue. In November, one of the largest white supremacist groups in America, the National Socialist Movement, planned an anti-immigration march to the Arizona state capitol. The NSM claims to have 80 chapters across America. We met Jeff Scoop, the movement's new leader, at his hotel.
Arizona's the front lines. We have a massive illegal immigration problem here in the state, so we're here to take it to the front lines.
As we talked, Scoop's men began to organize the caravan that would bring them to their march. Each car was marked with the number 88. In their simple code, 8 stands for the 8th letter in the alphabet. 88, or HH, means Heil Hitler.
America was founded by white men, settled by white men, and this was founded as a white nation. So we've got our nation to lose. They call us the fringe. They say it's a fringe movement, but I think what we're saying is very mainstream. We're standing up for the American people, and there's nothing fringe about that. The membership is really spiked, especially in the past few years. It's more mainstream now than ever before in our history.
And this is our blood banner. This flag is flown everywhere in the United States.
Clifford Harrington was the chairman of the National Socialist movement before they tried to go mainstream, when they still wore Nazi uniforms.
You want to get a shot of my ribbons?
Tell me about them.
Vietnam, 68-69. U.S. Army, 66-76. Vietnam, Germany, Japan, and Korea. NSM since 1974.
As we approached the state capitol, he started to lead a chant.
No niggers! No Jews! The Mexicans must go too!
Younger members of the leadership quickly silenced him and chose a theme better suited to a mainstream audience.
Our forefathers fought and resisted tyranny in this country, just as we stand here today, in defiance of illegals, in defiance of a system that would just as soon put a bullet in the back of the white man's head. We stand here in defiance of tyranny like George Washington did, like Ben Franklin did, our forefathers. This is America, our country.
In spite of their swastikas and Nazi salutes, it is clear that the National Socialist language has changed. Take away the Sieg Heils, and they sound like many other conservative anti-immigration activists in America.
We are doing it right. We're putting Americans first. We're taking back our nation, one day at a time, block by block, street by street, city by city. This is our nation, which we built. We are armed. We are free. And if you want our nation, you must take it from us. We are prepared. Thank you. Sieg Heil.
More than anyone else at the rally, J.T. Reddy embodies the link between white supremacist ideology and mainstream conservative politics. J.T. was a Republican precinct committeeman in Phoenix and a candidate for the Arizona House of Representatives. His writing appeared on mainstream conservative websites, and he regularly spoke at rallies with powerful Arizona political figures. J.T. is a former Marine and was also an early collaborator with the vigilante groups that patrol the Mexican border. They call themselves Minutemen, after the citizens' militias of the American Revolution. Here Reddy is in 2004 with Chris Simcox, the founder of the Minuteman Civil Defense Corps.
Chris Simcox, founder of Civil Homeland Defense. J.T. Reddy, candidate for Arizona House.
J.T. was a rising star in the Republican Party, but after Obama's election, he came out publicly as a member of the National Socialist movement, which he now proclaims proudly on his license plate. J.T. agreed to meet with us, but he wanted to do the interview out in the middle of the desert, on Highway 88.
What I'm fighting for primarily at this point is the survival of the white race.
J.T. says that white Americans have been dispossessed and sees America teetering on the edge of a crisis in which their very survival is at stake.
Any event which sparks this off, it could be during an election time, it could be the assassination of a prominent leader on either side. Things could erupt. Now within the white movement, we call it RAHOA, racial holy war. And I do believe in a racial holy war, and I believe that we are already fighting that, except that our side hasn't even begun to fight back yet. So we're trying to awaken our people for survival.
J.T. Reddy from the National Socialist Movement and a former Republican candidate for the Arizona House of Representatives. An excerpt of White Power USA, which we will continue after break. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. Back in a minute.